why do you think, could you name an ulterior motive why you think countries such as Finland or EU in general is trading with Israel?
I think probably in issues like arms, it's probably true what they say, that, Israel is very efficient in making arms. They're merchants of death. So when they say they got the best bid from Israel, I think there's probably some truth to it. They know what they're doing. It makes, I don't think it's a great honor to be an efficient merchant of death, but they are. So I think it's probably strictly business. In other cases, it's political. Why did the Europeans, most of the Europeans, not vote in the General Assembly vote on the Goldstone Accord? That was political, because a lot of pressure was put on.
Considering that Finland was the second biggest provider of missile technology to Israel between years 2004 and 2007, in what ways do you think that violates the international law?
Well, the EU, like the international community in general, under international law, it's illegal to transfer arms to a country which is a consistent violator of human rights. And that was the thrust of the Amnesty International report after the Gaza massacre. They put out a major report, and they went through the international law as well as the domestic law for the EU and domestic law for the United States. And they said, whether you look at it from the broader picture of international law generally, or you look at it from a more local or regional picture, it's illegal. And that was their basis for calling for an arms embargo on both parties to the conflict, Israel and the Palestinians, or Hamas. But in Hamas's case, it obviously is meaningless because they have no arms to begin with.
Okay. Now, one more and the last question. Do you think there's hope for the Palestinians in terms of the recent change in the U.S. presidency from Bush to Obama?
No, because I don't believe that we can achieve anything significant, humanly significant, by having it just handed to you. People have to emancipate themselves. You can't be emancipated. You have to free yourself. Even if it were true that Obama were to change policy and give the Palestinians a state, it would just be a state run by a gang of thugs. In order for it to be a meaningful state, in order for it to be a state that enables Palestinians really to feel freedom and not just have a new structure of power which represses them, it has to be through their own actions that they acquire the state. It has to be through the exercise of their individual wills, collectively organized, that you can have a state that's a framework for freedom. Otherwise, it's just another jail. So the jailers are Palestinian. That's not freedom. So even if it were the case, which it's not, that Obama was going to enable the Palestinians to have their own state, I don't think it would make any difference. Gandhi was very clear on that. Gandhi kept saying, I don't see any advantage if we have Indian rulers who replace the British rulers. What's the advantage to that? If they're still lording it over us, it's no improvement in our condition. What will improve our condition is if the masses of people, if they empower themselves, and then the state becomes really their state. And I think what Gandhi had to say about India applies with the Palestinians also. I don't want to be cruel about these things, and of course I want the occupation to end. But if you're simply going to have someone like Mr. Dahlen replace the Israeli occupiers, and it's just going to be a torture chamber. And that's the only ones the Americans are going to pick. If they give a state, it's going to be a state with their people running the state. And I don't see any advantage to that.